Okay, so this is how you make a beef broth or beef stock to use on the GAPS diet, or you could just use it as beef soup. So I got this particular meat at Whole Foods. This is the grass-fed beef shank, and I'll show you what it looks like. I put it in the pot already. So it has the meat and the bone. I have 2 pieces. And I'm just going to add 12 cups of filtered water, and I'm going to put it on the stove and bring it to a boil. I'm going to add just maybe about 10 or so peppercorns, and I'm going to sprinkle in some, mine is actually the Himalayan salt that I got at Trader Joe's. And now I'm going to wait for this to come up to a boil. Normally I skim off if anything foamy stuff comes up to the top, but sometimes it doesn't. But generally I skim that off the top, and once it's at a boil I lower it down to simmer, cover it most of the way, and leave it simmering for about 3 hours, and that will make your stock. Okay, so this is coming up to a boil, and as you can see, this is what I intend to remove off the top. Actually, it would probably be a better idea if I put the peppercorns in after, because you don't want to remove any of those, but I'm just skimming the top with a spoon, putting it into a cup. And it might come up for a couple of minutes when it first starts boiling. Okay, so now it's boiling, and I'm going to continue to remove the foam off the top until there's really just none left, or just a tiny bit left, and then I'm going to add the vegetables. Okay, so now that broth is good as it is after you cook it for the 3 hours. You could use it as like your healing broth. You could drink it throughout the day, and that's going to be great for the stage 1 of the GAPS diet. What I'm going to do with this particular stock is I'm going to also add, for more flavor, I'm going to add some onion and some celery. And I will, like I said before, use this for to make soup going forward. When I take my stock and I reheat it, and I can add anything into it I want. That would be going forward a little bit on the GAPS diet into the next stages, but you could add celery and carrots and spinach and whatever kind of vegetables you like. You cook them in that stock or broth for about 25 minutes until they're tender, and then you have that for your soup. Okay, so I've washed the celery, cut it in half. That's about, I don't know, maybe 4 stalks. And then I also decided to throw some carrot in to make the stock with, so that's about like 5 skinny carrots cut in half. And the onion, you just cut off the top, cut it in half. You can cut off the stemmy part here. It doesn't have to be perfect because you're going to strain this. So I'm just gonna, you actually could really even put the skin in if you wanted to. But I'll just peel the skin off, the very top layer of the skin. And after the soup begins to boil, I'm going to just throw these vegetables in. Okay, so I'm going to add the onion, carrot, and the celery. And that'll come back to a boil, and then I'll cover it and simmer it. Okay, so this is the low simmer that you want the stock to boil at, and then you can put the cover on and I usually leave it open just a tiny bit. And it's on pretty low, probably, yeah, not even medium low, lower than that. And you just want to watch it to be sure that it stays at that simmer. Okay, so that's boiling away, and it's getting close to the time that I'm going to strain it. First I'm going to pull out the meat, which is right here, and I'll show you the bone there, and if you want to take out the bone marrow. And then I'll strain the rest of it and use it just as a stock, or what I'm going to do tonight is make a soup. Okay, so I'm going to take the first piece of meat out, and you can see the bone. Kind of steamy. Put it in my bowl here. I'm going to find the other piece. So I'm using like a slotted spoon and just carefully transferring the meat to a dish where I'll let it cool for a little bit. I can take the bone out if I'm going to use the marrow, which is nutritious and good for you. And then I think I'm going to turn the meat into a beef salad. But if you wanted to, you can just shred the meat and you could add it to a meal on its own or in the broth. So I'm going to take the marrow out of the bone, see if it comes out. Are you filming properly? Okay, so you can it's super nutritious, and you can add this. What I do is I put it in the strainer, and Michael, if you'll follow me this way, I'm just going to take the stock and I'm going to, I have a bowl under the strainer, and pour everything in. And there's not that much broth here because I used some of it already, but now what I do is you can let it sit on the bowl for a little while, and then what I do is with a fork or with a big spoon you can press it through the strainer, and sometimes I even take my hand and squeeze it through. I'll rest it back on the pot, and some more might drip out, and then I'll pour it into the bowl. And then this is your stock. You can drink this, like I said, a few times a day, or you can take this, tomorrow or whenever, and you can add carrots, spinach, celery, whatever you want to eat. You bring that up to a boil and you simmer that for about 25 minutes, and then you have soup. And that's it.